Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today, we are going to explore the incredible, inspiring, and sometimes heartbreaking journey of Johnny Depp, a man who started from nothing and became one of Hollywood's greatest actors. His story is not just about success, but about passion, struggle, and perseverance. So, let's begin. Johnny Depp was born on June 9, 1963, in Owensboro, Kentucky, USA. He was the youngest of 4 siblings. Unlike the glamorous life he would later have, his childhood was full of hardships and instability. His family was always moving, making it difficult for Johnny to feel a sense of belonging. By the time he was 12 years old, they had already lived in more than 20 different homes. His father, John Christopher Depp, worked as a civil engineer, while his mother, Betty Sue Palmer, was a waitress. Betty Sue worked long hours to provide for the family, and Johnny was very close to her. However, life at home was far from perfect. His parents often fought, and their marriage was filled with tension. As a child, Johnny witnessed many arguments, struggles, and financial difficulties, which left a deep impact on him. From a young age, Johnny felt like he didn't fit in. He was shy, introverted, and often lost in his own world. He found comfort in music, which became his escape from reality. At the age of 12, his mother gave him a guitar as a gift. This was a life-changing moment for him. Music became his best friend. He would sit in his room for hours, playing his guitar and dreaming of becoming a rock star. By the time he was 15, Johnny was completely dedicated to music. He joined a band called The Kids, and they started performing at local events. His love for music was so strong that he dropped out of high school at 16 to pursue it full-time. It was a risky decision, but Johnny was willing to take the chance. At that time, he didn't care about Hollywood or acting. All he wanted was to make music and travel the world. But life had different plans for him. After dropping out, Johnny's band moved to Los Angeles in search of success. They played at various clubs, hoping to get discovered. But the music industry was tough. They struggled to get noticed, and money was always a problem. To survive, Johnny took up odd jobs, including selling pens over the phone. He hated it, but he had no other choice. During this time, he met Lori Ann Allison, a makeup artist. In 1983, when Johnny was just 20 years old, he married her. Little did he know, this marriage would be the key to his unexpected career change. Lori introduced Johnny to Nicolas Cage, a rising star in Hollywood at the time. Nicolas saw potential in Johnny and encouraged him to try acting. At first, Johnny wasn't interested. He was a musician, not an actor. But he was desperate for money, so he decided to give it a shot. This one decision changed his life forever. Part 2. The Unexpected Path to Hollywood. With the help of Nicolas Cage, Johnny Depp got his first ever audition for a movie called A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984. He had no formal training in acting, no experience, and no idea what he was doing. But his natural charisma and unique look caught the director's attention. He was cast as Glenn Lance, one of Freddy Krueger's victims. The film was a huge hit, and even though Johnny's role was small, it gave him a taste of Hollywood. For the first time, he realized that acting could be another way to express himself. However, success didn't come immediately. After his debut, Johnny found himself struggling to get serious roles. He was offered small parts in low-budget films, but none of them seemed to be leading anywhere. Then came his big break, the role in 21 Jump Street, 1987, a television show about young undercover cops in high schools. The show became an instant hit, and Johnny Depp became a teen idol overnight. Suddenly, he was famous. People recognized him everywhere. His posters were on every teenager's wall, and Hollywood producers wanted him. But now, he was stuck in a role that made him feel like just another handsome face on TV. After 4 seasons, Johnny decided to leave the show, even though many warned him it was a bad move. He didn't care. He was willing to take risks to follow his heart. He knew he had to prove himself as a serious actor. This decision led him to one of the most important collaborations of his career, working with director Tim Burton. In 1990, Johnny starred in Edward Scissorhands, a dark fantasy film about a man with scissors for hands. The role was completely different from anything he had done before. It was emotional, deep, and required true acting skill. Many people doubted him. Could the pretty boy from TV really act? The answer was yes. Johnny shocked everyone with his performance. The film was a huge success, and critics praised his depth, emotion, and uniqueness. He was no longer just a teen idol. He was now a respected actor. This movie changed the course of his career. It showed the world that Johnny Depp was not just a celebrity, he was an artist. After Edward Scissorhands, Johnny was determined to do only unique, meaningful roles. He stayed away from typical Hollywood blockbusters and instead chose challenging, unusual characters. Over the next few years, he starred in Benny and June, 1993, playing an eccentric but lovable outsider. What's Eating Gilbert Grape, 1993, alongside Leonardo DiCaprio in one of his most critically praised performances. Ed Wood, 1994, another collaboration with Tim Burton, proving his commitment to playing unusual roles. Each of these films built Johnny's reputation as an actor who was different, someone who didn't follow Hollywood's rules. But his biggest success was yet to come. The role that would make him a global superstar was just around the corner. Part 3. The role that changed everything. By the late 1990s, Johnny Depp had already proven himself as a serious actor, but he still wasn't considered a box office superstar. Hollywood saw him as talented but unconventional, someone who picked strange and artistic roles rather than mainstream hits. But then, in the early 2000s, something unexpected happened. Johnny was offered a role that would change his life forever. It all started when Disney decided to make a movie based on their theme park ride, Pirates of the Caribbean. At first, many people didn't take it seriously. A movie about a pirate theme park ride? It sounded like a risky idea. But Disney was confident and began searching for an actor to play Captain Jack Sparrow. Johnny Depp was not their first choice. In fact, Disney executives were hesitant about casting him. They thought he was too unpredictable, not family-friendly enough, and not a traditional action hero. But Johnny saw something special in the role. He wanted to do something different with Captain Jack Sparrow, something that had never been done before in a pirate movie. Instead of playing a serious, tough pirate, he imagined Jack Sparrow as a charming, unpredictable, and slightly crazy character. He took inspiration from rock star Keith Richards, adding a unique swagger and slurred speech to the character. When he first performed as Jack Sparrow, Disney executives were horrified. They thought he was acting too weird, too funny, too strange for a big-budget Disney movie. One executive even asked, "Is he drunk?" But Johnny didn't care. He believed in his version of Jack Sparrow and refused to change it. When Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl was finally released in 2003, it was a massive success. Audiences loved Jack Sparrow. They didn't just like him, they adored him. His character was funny, unpredictable, and completely different from any other pirate in movie history. The film made over $650 million worldwide, and Johnny Depp became a global superstar overnight. His performance was so good that he even got an Oscar nomination, something almost unheard of for a Disney movie. After years of struggling, Johnny had finally become one of the biggest actors in the world. But success comes with a price. As Johnny's career reached new heights, his personal life began to face new challenges. Part 4. Love, Fame, and Struggles. With the success of Pirates of the Caribbean, Johnny Depp's life changed dramatically. He was now one of the most famous actors in the world, and fans everywhere wanted to see more of him. But Johnny wasn't just focused on Hollywood. Throughout his career, he had always been a deep, emotional person, and he valued his personal life as much as his work. In the late 1990s, Johnny met Vanessa Paradis, a French singer and actress. Their connection was instant, and soon they became a couple. Unlike his past relationships, this one felt peaceful and stable. In 1999, they welcomed their first child, Lily Rose Depp, followed by their son, Jack Depp, in 2002. Fatherhood changed Johnny. He once said, "The birth of my daughter gave me life. Before that, I was stumbling in the dark." His children became his biggest source of joy and inspiration. While he was building a beautiful family, his acting career continued to grow. He worked on projects like Finding Neverland, 2004, a touching story about the creator of Peter Pan; Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, 2005, another unique role with director Tim Burton; Sweeney Todd, 2007, a dark musical that won him a Golden Globe Award. At this point, Johnny Depp was on top of the world. He had everything: success, money, family, and the love of millions of fans. But behind the scenes, things were not as perfect as they seemed. As the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise continued, Disney started pressuring Johnny to repeat the same performance over and over. They wanted more Jack Sparrow, more money, more movies. But Johnny was an artist, not a businessman. He didn't like being treated like a product. At the same time, his personal life was slowly falling apart. After 14 years together, Johnny and Vanessa Paradis ended their relationship in 2012. The breakup was heartbreaking for Johnny, and it deeply affected him. Shortly after, he began dating Amber Heard, an actress he met while filming The Rum Diary, 2011. At first, everything seemed fine. They got married in 2015, and Johnny believed he had found love again. But their relationship quickly turned into a nightmare. In 2016, Amber Heard filed for divorce, accusing Johnny of domestic abuse. The media exploded with shocking headlines. Suddenly, Johnny Depp, one of the most beloved actors in the world, was being painted as a villain. Hollywood turned against him. Many studios stopped working with him. His reputation collapsed overnight, and he lost one of the most important roles of his career, Captain Jack Sparrow. Disney, the studio that made billions because of him, dropped him without even hearing his side of the story. For the first time in decades, Johnny Depp was at rock bottom. But what happened next was one of the most incredible comebacks in Hollywood history. Part 5. The Fall from Grace. After decades of hard work, Johnny Depp had built an empire. He was an A-list actor, a global superstar, and one of the most beloved figures in Hollywood. But in a matter of months, everything he had worked for started to collapse. The accusations made by Amber Heard in 2016 sent shockwaves through the media. Johnny, who had always been known for his kindness and generosity, was suddenly being labeled as an abuser. The world that once celebrated him turned its back on him. At first, Johnny remained silent. He had always been a private person, and he didn't want to turn his personal life into a media spectacle. But Hollywood moved quickly. Big studios, afraid of controversy, started cutting ties with him. The biggest blow came in 2018 when Disney officially dropped Johnny from the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. The role that made him a superstar, the character that millions loved, gone. It wasn't just Pirates of the Caribbean. Other projects started disappearing too. In 2020, he was forced to resign from his role as Grindelwald in the Fantastic Beasts franchise after losing a legal battle against a British newspaper that called him a wife-beater. Johnny Depp, the man who had once dominated Hollywood, was now blacklisted. The pain of betrayal. What made this situation even more painful was how quickly people turned against him. Friends disappeared. Studios ignored him. Even people he had worked with for years refused to defend him. For the first time in his career, Johnny felt completely alone. He had spent decades entertaining the world, bringing unforgettable characters to life, but now it seemed like nobody wanted him anymore. The media continued to paint him as a villain, and his reputation was being destroyed. But Johnny wasn't ready to give up. Despite losing almost everything, he refused to let lies define his legacy. And so, he made a decision. He was going to fight back. Part 6. The Fight for Truth. Johnny Depp had been silent for too long. For years, he had watched the world turn against him, and now he was ready to stand up for himself. In 2022, he filed a defamation lawsuit against Amber Heard, demanding justice. He claimed that she had lied about him, destroyed his career, and manipulated the world into believing false accusations. The case became one of the most publicized trials in history. Millions of people tuned in to watch as Johnny and Amber faced each other in court. For the first time, Johnny had a chance to tell his side of the story, and the world listened. During the trial, shocking evidence came to light. Audio recordings, witness testimonies, and past statements proved that Johnny had suffered abuse, too. The narrative shifted, and people began to see that he was not the monster the media had portrayed him to be. One of the most powerful moments in the trial was when Johnny, with tears in his eyes, said, "No matter what happens, I have already lost. I lost everything when these false accusations were made." But the world wasn't ready to let him lose again. People started rallying behind him. Fans, fellow actors, and even strangers from across the world showed their support. Social media exploded with messages of encouragement. Hashtags like #Justice for Johnny Depp trended for months. The trial was grueling. It lasted weeks, filled with painful memories and emotional testimonies. But Johnny stood strong, and in the end, he won. The jury ruled in his favor, proving that he had been wrongfully accused. Amber Heard was ordered to pay millions in damages. But more than the money, Johnny won back his name. The world applauded him, After years of suffering, he was finally vindicated. But the battle wasn't over yet. Now that he had cleared his name, Johnny had to do something even more difficult: rebuild his life from nothing. Part 7. The Road to Redemption. After winning the defamation trial, Johnny Depp finally felt a sense of relief. The years of pain, humiliation, and loss had taken a toll on him, but he had never given up. Now, it was time to rebuild. The first thing Johnny did was take a break from Hollywood. He needed time to heal, reflect, and rediscover himself. He traveled to Europe, played music with his band Hollywood Vampires, and surrounded himself with the people who had always stood by him. For years, Hollywood had shut its doors on him. But now, the world saw Johnny for who he really was: a man who had been wrongfully accused and unfairly treated. And soon, the industry that had turned its back on him wanted him back. A grand comeback. Johnny Depp made his first big public appearance after the trial at the Cannes Film Festival in 2023. He starred in a French film, Jean du Barry, where he played the role of King Louis XV. When he arrived at the red carpet, something extraordinary happened. The audience gave him a standing ovation, not for 1 or 2 minutes, but for 7 minutes straight. Johnny held back tears as he realized that people still believed in him. This moment marked the beginning of his comeback. Hollywood started offering him roles again. Big directors who had once ignored him now wanted to work with him. He was no longer a villain in the industry. He was an underdog who had risen again. But Johnny was no longer desperate for fame. He had changed. He wanted to do projects that truly mattered to him, not just big-budget blockbusters. At the same time, he continued his passion for music, touring with his band and performing in front of thousands of fans. More than anything, Johnny wanted to inspire others who had been through pain and struggle. He wanted to show them that even when the world turns against you, you can rise again. Part 8. Lessons from the Storm. Johnny Depp's life is more than just a Hollywood story. It is a story of resilience, strength, and redemption. Here are the biggest lessons we can learn from his journey. 1. Never let others define you. When Johnny faced accusations, the world judged him without knowing the full truth. But he didn't let those lies define him. He knew who he was, and in the end, the truth came out. Lesson. No matter what people say about you, only you know your truth. Stay strong, and don't let false opinions break you. 2. Keep fighting, even when it feels hopeless. Johnny could have given up when he lost his roles, his reputation, and almost everything he built. But he chose to fight for his name. It took years, but in the end, he won. Lesson. Life is unfair sometimes, but if you keep fighting, justice will find its way to you. 3. True friends will always stand by you. When Johnny was at his lowest, many people abandoned him, but some, like his longtime friend Tim Burton, his co-stars, and his fans, never stopped believing in him. Lesson. Hard times reveal who your true friends are. Cherish the people who stay with you through the storm. 4. Success is not just about money or fame. Johnny was once one of the highest-paid actors in the world. But after everything he went through, he realized that true happiness isn't about money or fame. It's about doing what you love with the people who care about you. Lesson. Success is about living life on your own terms, not just chasing wealth. 5. It's never too late for a new beginning. After losing everything, Johnny thought his career was over, but life gave him another chance, and he came back stronger than ever. Lesson. No matter how bad things get, you can always start again. The past does not define your future. Johnny Depp's story is one of pain, loss, and redemption. But most importantly, it is a story of hope. He proved that even the darkest night will end, and the sun will rise again. And for those who feel like the world has turned against them, Johnny's journey is a reminder that you are stronger than you think, and your story is not over yet. Thank you for staying with us through this incredible journey of Johnny Depp's life. His story is a powerful reminder that no matter how tough life gets, resilience and truth always shine through in the end. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. Stay motivated, stay strong, and we'll see you in the next one.